Hello, Virtual English 2 students, and welcome to reading Act 1 of The Crucible. I'm not going to sit here and read the entire play to you because I don't have that much time on my hands, contrary to popular belief. But I'm going to focus in on certain areas as we are reading it as a class that you might want to focus in on. So the concept I wanted to talk to you all about was exposition. If you remember Gustav Freytag's plot pyramid, basically the structure of a plot, there are 5 parts. You have exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Exposition is what we're currently in, and a lot of people are turned off by exposition, but you need the exposition in order for the rest of the story to make sense and for the rest of the story to be impactful. The very beginning of The Crucible, I'm very, very sorry, but Arthur Miller writes about 4 pages of exposition before we even get into like the actual dialogue of the characters. And it can be a little bit of a drag. It's only 4 pages, though. I promise it won't last. The entire play does not sound like this. It picks up once the characters actually start talking to one another. So without further ado, let's actually talk about some of this to kind of help you out. Remember, these are things you could possibly even take into consideration during your annotations. So first off, I need to kind of show you some textual features. Anything in italics is going to be a stage direction. And so this particular stage direction is helping us set the scene. If this was being performed, there would be a person in charge of set design, and they would take this information right here and make the set look as close as possible to it. Then down here, we kind of get stage direction of where the characters are at when the play begins. Then we get into the long exposition. I'm not kind of you really need you need to read it all because it does help you understand how weird these people are and just how awkward and weird this situation is. But especially the first 2 paragraphs are important because they help you with the characterization of specifically Reverend Paris, who's going to be really the first character we get to know. In fact, the very first paragraph is nothing but telling us about Reverend Paris's background. You really need to read this particular first paragraph because it tells you who he is, and also indicates a very key thing that we see start to get contradicted at the very beginning of the play. Then we move on and we get a little bit about the background information about the town of Salem itself. And then we move into more exposition about the Puritan background. So you learn a little bit about who the Puritans were as a people in general. Basically, you kind of start off with like the no all work and no play and no fun people. And then as we keep going, we kind of continue to just establish here's who these particular people are. Here's kind of what they believed. Here's why they kind of believed it. We move on to the 3rd page. And this is where we kind of start talking about what made them different than other initial settlers. And their difference, even though we kind of view it as weird, and even back then they kind of viewed their differences as weird, it helped make them successful. It also made them a powder keg ready to explode, but it helped made them successful in what they were trying to do. Then we get down to here, and this is where we actually start getting close to the actual beginning of the play. In fact, here at the bottom of the page, you see the beginning of the play start. This is where we kind of talk about how everything's bubbling up and everything's about to explode and how it was the perfect storm for something crazy like this to happen. So we get a lot. So the play actually officially begins right here with the actual action of the characters and whatnot. And we have Reverend Paris praying over his daughter, and it seems like he cares about his daughter. But earlier he said that he said he didn't care about children. So it's kind of odd that he's praying over his daughter at that particular time. And we kind of get an idea of just kind of how like mean this man is, and how like at the end he is throughout all this. And then we move on to the next particular page. And here's an interesting thing. We meet 2 other characters. We meet Abigail and Suzanne Walcott. Abigail is going to be the bigger one that we're going to focus on most of the rest of this act. But Suzanne Walcott's really interesting because, especially right here, where Suzanne Walcott enters, and she is trying to get a glance. She's trying to look around Paris to get a look at Betty. So she's just kind of curious and trying to be a little bit nosy there. That can kind of tell you a little bit about something that's going on in this particular town. Right here we have the big mention of the W word that freaks everybody out, and rightfully so. And then we get into the actual here's where the play is good. So Paris discovered his niece and his daughter and a bunch of other girls out in the woods dancing. And of course, Puritans are no fun and whatnot. So that's not good. But also, they were dancing in a very specific way. Like their slave Tituba was doing some very particular things. And Paris discovered some people, how to say it. If we look down here, all I'm going to say is this is kind of where we stopped and where we're going to pick up for tomorrow. Innocently a dress. So, the dress kind of randomly dropped out there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going to stop. Or actually, we'll move a little bit forward. I forgot one class stopped there. So yeah, he discovered a dress laying on the ground with all these girls dancing. I wonder why there was a dress on the ground. But throughout it, basically, Paris is trying to get down to what were they doing? Why were they acting so weird? Abigail's trying to play coy, and we get some information that Abigail's reputation in the community is not as stellar as one might believe. And at the very end, where we actually did leave off on page 1240, or I guess this would be page 7 of the PDF, right before Miss Ann Putman enters, is kind of where we stop. We see Abigail say, in a temper, my name is good in the village. I will not have it said my name is soiled. Goody Proctor is a gossiping liar. And so far, Paris has interacted with a couple other people. He uses his anger, and he's able to get those other two people to kind of back down. He tries to push Abigail, and Abigail pushes back. So that is it for so far. I'll be back this afternoon with what we did for day 2, and I'll continue to be back every once in a while to kind of tell you what we've been doing in the Crucible. So there we go. Have a good afternoon. See you later. Bye.